Yo, wait, see, let me see these motherfucking assholes that Unsolved Mysteries for the fucking rats for YouTube anyway. They might be working with the YouTube police or whatever, DA and fucking prosecutor. Let me see if I can fucking make these content creators sweat by demand. I'm gonna make them sweat, bro. Make these fucking content creators sweat, just like Keith Sweat did his album. I'll make you sweat now. I'm gonna make you sweat now. Let's do it. Valentino's Revenge. On. On for a minute. What's going on here? Hold up, man. One, two, three. Valentino's Revenge. This one's for you, Valentino.
It was a beautiful wedding. We had a wonderful relationship. I was very in love. Very in love. Very, very in love. Gary had a very big personality. He was a big gambler, and he loved it. When they first met, she claimed that Gary had told her worth 10 million, 20 million. It was in the high millions.
Gary Triano. He'd been a hugely successful financial developer and entrepreneur. He was doing tribal gambling business.
That money, which he got every month, was big money.
The tribe and himself did not agree on certain things. He was basically forced out of his gambling connection. He was on a downward spiral financially, and there were people who were upset with him.
Your husband, he owed a casino in Las Vegas several $1 million, $1.8 million to an ex-wife, $91,000 to an attorney, hundreds of thousands of dollars to a group of Mexican investors who people said were involved in criminal activity.
Probably.
November 1st, 1996 at the La Paloma Country Club. It's a luxury resort, spa, and a fantastic golf course. Gary Triano finishes playing a game of golf, walks to his car, and there's an explosion.
There's some kind of an explosion in the country club parking lot. I guess it's a massive fire.
What kind of bomb are we talking about?
We're talking about a pipe bomb, an extremely large pipe bomb compared to what is normally out there.
Was this survivable?
No.
Gary Triano didn't have a chance.
He was a dead man.
I was absolutely hysterical. And I'm thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do?
But you must have asked, who could have killed Gary?
I immediately thought, who is it that he had paid before the bombing? Gary was totally in fear. Going around with a gun. He had life threats. I had life threats. The children had life threats. We're talking about Mexican mafia people you don't cross. There was serious, serious things going on.
I saw the list. It was titled the kill list, and it had names. And Gary Triano was at the top.
Did Pam ever talk to you about Gary's business associations with organized crime?
Never.
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 She was one of your closest friends. No talk about mob-related people.
Never.
Threatening phone calls at the house.
That's absurd.
She felt unsafe. She felt her children were, I would have done anything for money.
Well, yeah.
I'm Peter Benson. Tonight on 48 Hours, The Hit. Hours. We'll be back in 90 seconds. It was back in the 90s, and Pam Phillips and her husband Gary Triano were living large. Here in the posh foothills of Tucson, they were rich. Gary was a wheeler dealer, creating businesses, running Indian bingo, playing a lot of golf. And some say Gary was rubbing shoulders with nice guys.
He was flamboyant in a way that I wouldn't normally fall for.
She sold commercial real estate.
I was worth, I think, $1.8 million, $2 million in there, made totally on my own.
They were socialites with connections. Connections like their celebrity pals, Donald and Marla Trump.
Marla I love. Marla is like an angel. And Donald I adore as well. And he is one of the funniest people to be around. You can imagine. Donald and Marla came, and actually they took him to a basketball game together.
Laura Chapman was part of the gang, a friend.
We love our Wildcats. We're big, huge Wildcat fans.
University of Arizona.
Absolutely. And it was in the paper the next day, here's Gary and Pam walking down the steps with Donald and Marla.
Gary and Pam married in 1986. They had a couple of kids and settled into a comfortable life.
And she and Gary were married and didn't even work. She lived a very pampered lifestyle. And Gary provided that for her.
Tell me about going to Vegas with Gary and Pam.
That was a trip. It was a lot of fun. He had his own plane, so he would fly us in.
What kind of plane?
It was just a small jet. It was like
Just a small jet.
just a small jet.
Lifestyles of the rich and famous.
Absolutely.
But all that glitters is not, well, you know the story. And after 7 years of marriage, things fell apart. Gary was pushed out of the Indian bingo, and his personal gambling debts skyrocketed. In 1993, Pam and Gary separated and eventually divorced. Until that day, November 1st, 1996.
The bomb was so powerful, it literally sent debris flying 200 yards into the air. The windshield actually flew over these trees and into the swimming pool area.
Just 5 days before Gary's 53rd birthday.
Gary definitely was a target.
Gene Reedy is a Pima County investigator.
Gary suspected he was being followed and told people he was being followed by an individual that was driving a green Jeep-type SUV.
Was that vehicle seen on the day Gary Triano was murdered?
There's a similar vehicle, or the specific vehicle was seen up at La Paloma Resort.
That's where the bomb went off.
Where the bombing happened, that's correct.
We're on an explosives range in the remote mountains of New Mexico. Over those hills, about 40 miles from here, is where they detonated the first atomic bomb. These ATF agents,
Roger Strap.
they worked the Triano bombing and came up with some crucial clues.
This is the exact location where the device was when it detonated and murdered Gary Triano.
Gary Triano had just finished 18 holes with a pal. He walked to his car.
When he entered the car, he leaned over and seen this unknown bag that was sitting here exactly where it's at right now.
And like anybody, he probably reached over and grabbed it, right?
He did.
What's this? ATF bomb expert Tony May
This is a reconstruction of the device.
and Special Agent Tom Mangan
When you look at something this size and say this is overkill,
recreated the bomb at our request. I don't get any
down.
Here we go.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Lead the way.
Yep.
Let's check out the damage.
Look at the blast pressures, Tony.
Yeah. This whole piece is from this last blast.
Correct.
We're looking.
You're correct.
But for you guys, this is all evidence.
This is all evidence.
Yeah.
But from here, we have to sort out what is car parts and what is bomb parts.
Right. You
Tell
know,
me if you see anything from the bomb.
This is an end cap from the pipe bomb itself. Look at the frag pattern on this door.
Frag pattern being these holes.
Frag pattern being these holes.
right now we're looking at the seat of the explosion. And the explosion itself. Right. And you see the fragmentation?
Was this survivable?
No. It was quick, it was calculated, and it was murder.
This is an exterior door panel that's been blown off.
There are people who look at this circumstance and say, this looks like a classic mob hit.
Right, with the bombing. Everybody looked at that and said, that's a signature mob hit.
Detective James Gamber has been on the case in Tucson history.
We continue to work it for 18 years.
18 years of your life.
Yes.
It took so long because it's been an unusually tangled story, filled with endless leads and with curious characters, many with their own theories. Characters like Dr. Lawrence D'Antonio. I'm a family physician here in Tucson, Arizona. I've known Gary Triano since I was a little boy. He's also convinced mobsters killed Gary Triano because he says Gary owed them money and wouldn't pay. He's a very flamboyant man, and he's also very good looking, but he's rotten to the core. He was a con man. He was a thief, and he would rob or steal from anybody, including his own family, his own wife. That's the way he was. Dr. D'Antonio says Triano associated with known criminals, like the infamous mafia boss Joe Bonanno, who retired in Tucson. Gary Triano's first business was financed by Joseph Bonanno. Was Gary Triano living in a dangerous lifestyle? Oh, absolutely. Gary carried a gun all the time. And Dr. D'Antonio says he has even seen proof that Gary Triano was on a kill list. A lot of names on this list, and some names would come and go, but Gary Triano was always at the top. The minute the doctor heard about the bombing, he was sure who did it. I was absolutely sure that Gary Triano had just been murdered by Neil McNeese. You like the old gumshoe, you like to get out, talk one-on-one to people.
I'm old style. I blend in, I fit in, I try and make people comfortable.
Investigator Gene Reedy was trying to help Pam Phillips finger the man who he believed killed her ex.
I'll tell you what I think happened. I think Gary really burned someone really good, and somebody was really upset. Someone was going to kill him.
He had a pretty good idea of who that someone was.
This man here is the man that orchestrated this.
Like Dr. D'Antonio, Reedy thinks the killer is a man named Neil McNeese.
When Neil McNeese was on drugs, he was a completely psychotic, insane guy.
All I ever met in his world, his entourage, was drug dealers, drug addicts, strippers, prostitutes, and bad guys. He had a lot of bad guys that worked for him. McNeese was a rich kid. He'd inherited millions from his family's uranium mining fortune. He also owned a piece of an Indy race car team. But Dr. D'Antonio, in even faster lane. He was heavily on drugs, and his drugs were cocaine and heroin. And that's when the trouble started. According to D'Antonio, the beef between McNeese and Gary Triano was over a huge diamond ring, a gorgeous diamond wedding ring. And this thing was magnificent. And Gary said, pitched it as a $250,000 ring. As the doc tells it, Triano needed cash. So he offered up his wife's $250,000 wedding ring to McNeese as collateral for a loan. But there was a problem. The diamond was a fake. And when McNeese realized he'd been scammed, all hell broke loose. And Neil went absolutely crazy. And he started to tell me, I'm going to kill him, I'm going to kill him. And he said, and when I kill Gary Triano, it will be spectacular. The whole world will know I killed him.
Gary Triano owed him a debt, and I believe that's why Gary Triano was killed.
Reedy says he's got it all figured out.
I'm taking you to where I believe the bomb was built.
Let's go inside. This place looks like a movie set. Thousands of parts, heavy machinery.
He has everything here that could be used to build the bomb. We found at least 6 pieces of the puzzle within this drawer right here. We found the shotgun shells, we found bearings, the same type of powder that was used in the bomb. We found the Radio Shack receipts. Right there. Linked all this together.
Reedy says the man who built the bomb right here in this shop was a model airplane hobbyist named Jerry Capuano.
This is his bomb builder. He built the bomb.
Reedy's theory of the crime is this. The bad boy millionaire McNeese put together a whole hit team to go after Gary Triano. It was a bunch of lowlifes.
This is his bodyguard who orchestrated and got the hit crew together with these two guys. And these two guys have a past criminal history. They're complete thugs.
McNeese and his bodyguard also had a criminal history. They were convicted of extortion for threatening another man who owed McNeese money.
This is where Gary came to day of his death.
This is where Gary came to play golf.
Reedy says he has found a witness who saw that hit team right here in the parking lot.
Directly next to Gary Triano, when the bomb went off, there was an individual in a vehicle who was sitting there reading a magazine. Now, he was looking in his mirror, and he saw an individual back by the bushes. He also saw another individual straight ahead up on this knoll directly in front of us that we're pulling around to.
And you believe that person was doing what?
I believe those two people were involved in the bombing.
So, to sum up this tangled story, and they kill him. Case closed, right? Well, not really. That's just the opening scene of this mystery. Turns out, lead detective James Gamber doesn't buy Reedy's mob hit theory.
They were all looked at and discounted.
Police didn't believe any of the other mob hit theories either.
The Mexican group, the financial group, discounted. Just a bad business deal. We went and talked to the casinos, and they said, yeah, we lose money all the time. We don't go out and kill people for the money.
But Tucson detective James Gamber had another lead. In December 1996, just weeks after Gary Triano's murder, his ex-wife, Pam Phillips, filed a life insurance claim, a big one.
There was a $2 million life insurance policy.
$2 million. More than enough reason for Detective Gamber to travel to Aspen, where he spoke to Pam face to face.
The money would go to Pam as the trustee. She's the only person, when you followed the money, that benefited at all.
There's nothing about me that would ever harm a person, ever. There was no money motive. There was no insurance motive.
Gamber questioned Pam. She told him she divorced Gary Triano, escaped from Tucson, and fled to Aspen, all because she was terrified.
There was things happening with him that I couldn't understand. He was off the wall.
And you moved because?
Because our lives were threatened. Our lives were threatened. Gary feared everything. Gary was totally in fear. He would go around with a gun.
But Pam's friend, Laura Chapman, has a different take. Why did things go wrong in their marriage?
When things started to go downward and the money was not going to be there anymore, and that, the rich and famous lifestyle was going to be evaporating, I think she saw the writing on the wall and said, I don't think I want to be in this relationship anymore.
Pam tells this story with such conviction that she reached a point where she had to leave Gary because of the people he was dealing with, the threats to her family. Everyone was scared, and she had to move to Aspen to save her children.
That's absolutely ridiculous. That is not why she moved to Aspen.
Why'd she move to Aspen?
She was looking for her next ATM, her next bank. She was looking for somebody to provide her that lifestyle again.
Do you believe mobsters killed Gary Triano? Chat now with correspondent Peter Van Sant on Twitter. After her divorce, Pam Phillips' old friend, Laura, got to Colorado. What was Pam looking for in a man?
I think she was looking for us to make sure that he had basically a net worth probably of at least $10 million or more.
That was the aphrodisiac. That was the attraction.
Yeah, absolutely. It didn't really matter what they looked like, just as long as they had a lot of money.
Pam, as usual, gravitated to her people, the rich and famous. She became a successful real estate agent and resumed her life as a socialite. But she had one friend who didn't seem to fit the mold. His name was Ron Young.
I met him at a party next door, the duplex next door to me. Very tall. The guy is like a skyscraper. He was a business manager to people that were at this barbecue. And I could use some help with my business. And so that's kind of what ended up happening.
Pam says Ron helped her with her business interests, and she paid him cash. Pam owned an online company called Star Babies. making astrology charts for infants.
I hand wrote all the different planetary aspects to understand our children and be a better parent.
What was your relationship with Ron?
It was strictly business, pretty much. I mean, doing business plans. He helped on pretty much everything. You know, he helped a lot.
But Pam's nanny in Aspen told police that her relationship with Ron Young soon moved from the office to the bedroom. Now, you're here to tell me the truth, right?
I'm here to tell you the truth.
Did your business relationship with Ron turn into a romantic relationship?
No, not really.
Because it's been alleged that you were lovers.
No.
Were you?
No, we were not lovers. This is like embarrassing. Could we have crashed out having wine, fully clothed, you know, on a couch or on a bed? That might have happened once or twice. You know, we were not lovers, no.
In the summer of 1996, Pam suddenly turned on her partner, accusing Ron Young of fraud, using her credit cards. When she called the cops, Ron disappeared. Several months later, in November of 1996, Gary Triano was blown up in his car.
The bomb blew off the roof and killed Triano only days before his 53rd birthday.
And in Aspen, a cop who dealt with Pam in the fraud case saw the bombing story on TV and called Tucson. Detective James Gamber took the call.
We get a call from Detective Crowley with the Aspen Police Department. And he says, hey, I have a suspect in a fraud case up in Aspen. His name is Ron Young, this gentleman right here.
Turns out that Ron Young had a criminal record.
Yes.
This was a new, intriguing lead, a link between Pam and a small-time crook.
Where it becomes more interesting is when we actually interview Pamela Phillips and we ask her, we say, who's Ron Young? And she basically minimizes his, and she is basically shaken by the question. I mean, visibly shaken by the question.
It's a bad movie. It's a nightmare. I would never kill Gary, the father of my children. Because I can't even stand it. I'm not even going to go there. It's so real.
Pam may have been shaken and detectives suspicious, but they didn't yet have a case. What's worse, Ron Young was nowhere to be found. For 9 years, the case languished.
Another look at the frag pattern on this door.
Then, in 2005, the case heated up. The bomb expert Tony May and agent Tom Mangan of the ATF were reviewing cold cases. They took another look at the murder of Gary Triano. Tell me what this bomb tells you about a potential suspect.
Well, it tells me quite a bit, actually, from the size of the battery to the fact that a remote control system was used. This is somebody that was familiar with model boats, model airplanes.
But they determined the bomb builder was an amateur.
You have sloppy solder points. In this case, the solder points are globbed on.
How was this 17-inch pipe bomb detonated?
Okay, using a remote control firing system.
You spy this at a hobby shop.
Right in a hobby shop. And when he sees Mr. Triano get into the vehicle and get in close proximity to the bomb, initiates the device.
And boom.
And boom.
The experts were now sure. Because of the sloppy workmanship, the bomb was probably not the work of a mob hitman. As far as the cops were concerned, that took the gangster theory of the crime off the table for good. Whose handwriting is this? As he studied the files, Tucson detective James Gamber became more and more convinced the key to the case would be the relationship between Pam Phillips and the vanished con man, Ron Young. Then, in 2005, a break. Ron Young was arrested in Florida on fraud and gun charges. When police searched his apartment, they discovered something amazing. Ron Young was an obsessive record keeper. Gamber learned that during the 1990s, Young had received significant cash payments from a woman in Colorado.
Usually in between $18,000 and $2,000.
The woman sent hundreds of thousands of dollars. Her name, Pam Phillips.
Why did she pay Ron Young $400,000?
You tell me.
Because she was paying him for the murder.
The murder
Of Gary Triano.
of Gary Triano.
Yes.
This has nothing to do with me. My father. Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing.
But investigators have said You had 2 million reasons.
What?
$2 million in life insurance.
I didn't even know that I had that.
Well, she needed money and she wanted to get Gary out of her life. So she reaches out to Ron Young, and basically, if you look at all the evidence collectively, says, if Gary dies, I get $2 million. If you kill him, I'll give you $400,000.
And for you, that's the motive of this crime.
Correct.
Ron Young didn't just keep extensive financial records, he also recorded dozens of hours of telephone conversations. Listen to this.
About enough to live on for about a year. Well, how could you know?
That's Ron Young talking to Pam.
Yes, I never found out that you compromised me for your benefit. And it'd be really unfortunate for you because there's just plenty of stuff that I can literally dig out of the ground and you're a fried duck.
Then, investigators discovered this startling piece of audio tape.
Well, I tell you, you usually be very serious. When you sit in a women's prison for murder,
I only know of one murder that Pam Phillips is associated with.
Finish your thought.
That's Gary Triano. So what murder could they be talking about?
For Detective Gamber, this case was becoming one of sex, lies, and audio tape. But it all came together when an obscure police report from 1996 turned. That was the same year Gary Triano was blown up. Back then, a rented van was found abandoned in Southern California. No one knew it at the time, but that van would contain some important circumstantial evidence. And guess who rented it? Ron Young.
They find basically a map of Tucson. As far as we know, Ron Young has no relationship to Tucson. There were several notes, one that lists out people that are very close to Gary Triano. We find a receipt for a local hotel. We find where he stayed there for 18 days under the name of Philip Desmond. Then we find some of the divorce paperwork from Pam and Gary's divorce. We find
with this new evidence that Young was in Tucson prior to the bombing, stalking Triano, Gamber now believed he had a case. And in October 2008, Ron Young was charged with Gary Triano's murder. Pam Phillips was next. Gamber's sights. By 2008, Pam Phillips had to be with her daughter, who was a student there. Then there was a revelation.
It all came flooding back to me. It was like, oh my gosh, she really did do it.
Laura Chapman, Pam's old pal from Tucson, came forward to tell police a story she says she was too frightened to tell for 15 years. Were you scared?
Yeah, I was scared.
Laura says that back in 1993, shortly after the Trianos separated, Pam said Gary was acting crazy one night, threatening her and waving a gun.
She called me and she called another woman to come over to their home, and she said, I should just hire someone and have them taken out. And, then I can collect on the insurance policy.
And for cops, Laura's story was the last piece of the puzzle. In October 2008, Pam Phillips and Ron Young were indicted on the same day for conspiracy and murder. It would take a year before Pam was tracked down in Europe, now in Austria, and arrested. It would be another year before she was extradited to the U.S. in 2010.
So we agree on 1.7.
As all this was happening, Pam's partner, Ron Young, stood trial. He denied everything and never implicated Pam. But in the end, those records and audio tapes did him in.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Ronald Kelly F., guilty of the offense of first-degree murder.
And then, back in Arizona,
In Division 27 of the Superior Court,
it was Pam Phillips's turn.
this is your arraignment, those are your charges.
But then, a major delay. Pam's lawyers claimed she was mentally unfit to stand trial.
Pam, is it true that you once believed that you had some sort of computer chip or brain implants put in that was controlling your thoughts and actions?
Let's just put it this way. I was a mess. It was a mess. I was a mess.
Finally, on February 19th, 2014,
This time we're going to be hearing opening statements from the attorneys.
17 years after Gary Triano's murder, Tucson's trial of the century began.
It is time to hold Pamela Phillips responsible for her crime. It is time to find Pamela Phillips guilty.
The prosecution case was forward. Pam was portrayed as a financially desperate woman, willing to kill her husband for that $2 million life insurance policy.
Only Gary Triano's death was Pamela Phillips.
The prosecution's star witness was Laura Chapman,
I remember saying,
told that damning story of Pam wanting to hire someone to take out her husband.
Is Pam looking at you while you are testifying?
I don't know, Peter, because I never ever looked at her.
Pam was outraged by Laura's story.
That she should just hire a hitman, have him taken out. No. No. Those words would not come out of my mouth ever. Ever. Ever.
And there's one more thing Pam wants people to know about Laura Chapman, that she had a medical condition that affected her memory.
Poor girl, she had a brain tumor. Something happened to her medically. That is so ridiculous. First of all, I didn't have a brain tumor when she told me this. That happened many years later. It'll be 9 years this month. And it does not affect my memory one bit. My memory is perfect.
The leads they dropped. Pam's defense was simple. Someone else did it. Who killed Gary Triano?
Neil McNeese, I believe.
Pam's attorney, Paul Eckerstrom, says the angry millionaire had the motive and the ability. He says that makes a lot more sense than the notion that Ron Young built the bomb.
Ron Young couldn't even fix a flashlight or screw in a light bulb, far as I can tell. We found out who did this, and we got strong evidence of who did this. And it wasn't Pam, and it wasn't Ronald Young. It was people that were involved with organized crime.
But the tapes recorded by Ron Young himself haunted the defense.
Well, I tell you, you usually be very serious when you sit in a women's prison for murder.
The problems with these tapes, they're spliced and diced, we believe. They were never authenticated by any expert.
The defense argues that if you listen to the entire audio tape, it's obvious that Ron Young is talking about his own medical problems, and that if Pam didn't give him money for treatment, she'd be murdering him.
I'm the one that's dying. I have a need. You have my principal. I want a little bit of it so I can proceed.
Eckerstrom says the true story behind most of the tapes was extortion. Ron Young was just trying to get money out of Pam.
What he had on Pam was the fact that she had a reputation in Aspen to protect. It was a small town. She was a real estate agent. She needed her reputation.
According to the defense, the death of her ex-husband, or the hit team, and they didn't believe any of the other mob hit theories either.
The Mexican group, the financial group, discounted, just a bad business deal. We went and talked to the casinos, and they said, yeah, we lose money all the time. We don't go out and kill people for the money.
But Tucson detective James Gamber had another lead. In December 1996, just weeks after Gary Triano's murder, his ex-wife, Pam Phillips, filed a life insurance claim, a big one.
There was a $2 million life insurance policy.
$2 million, more than enough reason for Detective Gamber to travel to Aspen, where he spoke to Pam face-to-face.
The money would go to Pam as the trustee. She's the only person, when you followed the money, that benefited at all.
There's nothing about me that would ever harm a person, ever. There was no money motive. There was no insurance motive.
Gamber questioned Pam. She told him she divorced Gary Triano, escaped from Tucson, and fled to Aspen, all because she was terrified.
There was things happening with him that I couldn't understand. He was off the wall.
And you moved because?
Because our lives were threatened. Our lives were threatened. Gary feared everything. Gary was totally in fear. He was going around with a gun.
But Pam's friend, Laura Chapman, has a different take. Why did things go wrong in their marriage?
When things started to go downward and the money was not going to be there anymore, and that, the rich and famous lifestyle was going to be evaporating, I think she saw the writing on the wall and said, I don't think I want to be in this relationship anymore.
Pam tells the story with such conviction that she reached a point where she had to leave Gary because of the people he was dealing with, the threats to her family. Everyone was scared, and she had to move to Aspen to save her children.
That's absolutely ridiculous. That is not why she moved to Aspen.
Why'd she move to Aspen?
She was looking for her next ATM, her next bank. She was looking for somebody to provide her that lifestyle again.
Do you believe mobsters killed Gary Triano? Chat now with correspondent Peter Van Sant on Twitter.
After her divorce, Pam Phillips' old friend, Laura Chapman, says Pam was in the mood for love. In Aspen, once she got to Colorado, what was Pam looking for in a man?
No, I think she was looking for his man.
Aphrodisiac, that was the attraction.
Yeah, absolutely. It didn't really matter what they looked like, just as long as they had a lot of money.
Pam, as usual, gravitated to her people, the rich and famous. She became a successful real estate agent and resumed her life as a socialite. But she had one friend who didn't seem to fit the mold. His name was Ron Young.
I met him at a party next door, the duplex next door to me. Very tall. The guy is like a skyscraper. He was a business manager to people that were at this barbecue. And I could use some help with my business. And so that's kind of what ended up happening.
Pam says Ron helped her with her business interests, and she paid him cash. Pam owned an online company called Star Babies, making astrology charts for infants.
I hand wrote all the different planetary aspects to understand our children and be a better parent.
What was your relationship with Ron?
It was strictly business, pretty much. Doing business plans. He helped on pretty much everything. He helped a lot.
But Pam's nanny in Aspen told police that her relationship with Ron Young soon moved from the office to the bedroom. Now, you're here to tell me the truth, right?
I'm here to tell you the truth.
Did your business relationship with Ron turn into a romantic relationship?
No, not really.
Because it's been alleged that you were lovers.
No.
Were you?
No, we were not lovers. This is like embarrassing. Could we have crashed out having wine, fully clothed, on a couch or on a bed? That might have happened once or twice. We were not lovers, no.
In the summer of 1996, Pam suddenly turned on her partner, accusing Ron Young of fraud using her credit cards. When she called the cops, Ron disappeared. Several months later, in November of 1996, Gary Triano was blown up in his car.
The bomb blew off the roof and killed Triano only days before his 53rd birthday.
And in Aspen, a cop who dealt with Pam in the fraud case saw the bombing story on TV and called Tucson. Detective James Gamber took the call.
We get a call from Detective Crowley with the Aspen Police Department. And he says, hey, I have a suspect in a fraud case up in Aspen. His name is Ron Young, this gentleman right here.
Turns out that Ron Young had a criminal record.
Yeah.
This was a new, intriguing lead, a link between Pam and a small-time crook.
Where it becomes more interesting is when we actually interview Pamela Phillips and we ask her, we say, who's Ron Young? And she basically minimizes his relationship to her. Oh, he's somebody who did some financial work for me. She doesn't talk about the fraud, and she is basically shaken by the question. Visibly shaken by it.
The thought for my children. It's just, I can't even speak it. I'm not even going to go there. It's just so real.
Pam may have been shaken and detectives suspicious, but they didn't yet have a case. What's worse, Ron Young was nowhere to be found. For 9 years, the case languished.
Another look at the crack pattern on this door.
Then, in 2005, the case heated up. The bomb expert Tony May and agent Tom Mankin of the ATF were reviewing cold cases. They took another look at the murder of Gary Triano.
Tell me what this bomb tells you about a potential suspect.
Well, it tells me quite a bit, actually, from the size of the battery to the fact that a remote control system was used. This is somebody that was familiar with model boats, model airplanes.
But they determined the bomb builder was an amateur.
You have sloppy solder points. In this case, the solder points are globbed on.
How was this 17-inch pipe bomb detonated?
Okay. Using a remote control firing system.
You spy this at a hobby shop?
I did a hobby shop. And when he sees Mr. Triano get into the vehicle and get close proximity to the bomb, he initiates the device.
And boom.
And boom.
The experts were now sure. Because of the sloppy workmanship, the bomb was probably not the work of a mob hitman. As far as the cops were concerned, that took the gangster theory of the crime off the table for good.
Whose handwriting is this?
As he studied the files, Tucson detective James Gamber became more and more convinced the key to the case would be the relationship between Pam Phillips and the vanished con man, Ron Young. Then, in 2005, a break. Ron Young was arrested in Florida on fraud and gun charges. When police searched his apartment, they discovered something amazing. Ron Young was an obsessive record keeper. Gamber learned that during the 1990s, Young had received significant cash payments from a woman in Colorado.
Usually between $18 and $2,000.
The woman sent hundreds of thousands of dollars. Her name, Pam Phillips.
Why did she pay Ron Young $400,000?
You tell me.
Because she was paying him for the murder.
The murder
Of Gary Triano.
of Gary Triano.
Yes.
This has nothing to do with me. My children have to know this has nothing to do with me. I had nothing to do with the death of their father. Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Like what?
$2 million in life insurance.
I didn't even know that I had that.
Well, she needed money and she wanted to get Gary out of her life. So she reaches out to Ron Young and basically, if you look at all the evidence collectively, says, if Gary dies, I get $2 million. If you kill him, I'll give you $400,000.
And for you, that's the motive of this crime.
Correct.
Ron Young didn't just keep extensive financial records, he also recorded dozens of hours of telephone conversations. Listen to this.
I've got enough to live on for about a year. Well, how could you know?
That's Ron Young talking to Pam.
Yes, I never found out that you compromised me for your benefit. It'd be really unfortunate for you because there's just plenty of stuff that I could certainly dig out of the ground and you're a fried duck.
Then investigators discovered this startling piece of audio tape.
Well, I tell you, you let me be very serious. When you sit in a women's prison for murder,
I only know of one murder that Pam Phillips is associated with.
Finish your thought.
That's Gary Triano. So what murder could they be talking about?
For Detective Gamber, this case was becoming one of sex, lies, and audio tape. But it all came together when an obscure police report from 1996 turned up. That was the same year Gary Triano was blown up. Back then, a rented van was found abandoned in Southern California. No one knew it at the time, but that van would contain some important circumstantial evidence. And guess who rented it? Ron Young.
They find basically a map of Tucson. As far as we know, Ron Young has no relationship to Tucson. There were several notes, one that lists out people that are very close to Gary Triano. We find a receipt for a local hotel. We find where he stayed there for 18 days under the name of Philip Desmond. Then we find some of the divorce paperwork from Pam and Gary's divorce. We find
with this new evidence that Young was in Tucson prior to the bombing, stalking Triano, Gamber now believed he had a case. And in October 2008, Ron Young was charged with Gary Triano's murder. Pam Phillips was next in Gamber's sights. 2008, Pam Phillips had moved to Europe, Switzerland mostly, to be with her daughter who was a student there. Then,
Like, oh my gosh, she really did do it.
Laura Chapman, Pam's old pal from Tucson, came forward to tell police a story she says she was too frightened to tell for 15 years. Were you scared?
Yeah, I was scared.
Laura says that back in 1993, shortly after the Triano separated, Pam said Gary was acting crazy one night, threatening her and waving a gun.
She called me and she called another woman to come over to their home, and she said, I should just hire someone and have them taken out. And, then I can collect on the insurance policy.
And for cops, Laura's story was the last piece of the puzzle. In October 2008, Pam Phillips and Ron Young were indicted on the same day for conspiracy and murder. It would take a year before Pam was tracked down in Europe, now in Austria, and arrested. It would be another year before she was extradited to the U.S. in 2010.
So we agree on 1.7.
As all this was happening, Pam's partner, Ron Young, stood trial. He denied everything and never implicated Pam. But in the end, those records and audio tapes did him in.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Ronald Kelly Young, guilty of the offense of first-degree murder.
And then, back in Arizona,
In Division 27 of the Superior Court,
it was Pam Phillips's turn.
this is your arraignment, those are your charges.
But then, a major delay. Pam's lawyers claimed she was mentally unfit to stand trial.
Pam, is it true that you once believed that you had some sort of computer chip or brain implants put in that was controlling your thoughts and actions?
Let's just put it this way. I was a mess. I was a mess. I was a mess.
Finally, on February 19, 2014,
This time we're going to be hearing opening statements from the attorneys.
17 years after Gary Triano's murder, Tucson's trial of the century began.
It is time to hold Pamela Phillips responsible for her crimes. It is time to find Pamela Phillips guilty.
The prosecution case was straightforward. Pam was portrayed as a financially desperate woman, willing to kill her husband for that $2 million life insurance policy.
The only person who stood to gain any benefit from Gary Triano's death was Pamela Phillips.
Remember saying,
Told that damning story of Pam wanting to hire someone to take out her husband.
Is Pam looking at you while you are testifying?
I don't know, Peter, because I never ever looked at her.
Pam was outraged by Laura's story.
That she should just hire a hitman, have him taken out.
No. No. Those words would not come out of my mouth ever.
Ever. Ever. And there's one more thing Pam wants people to know about Laura Chapman, that she had a medical condition that affected her memory.
Poor girl, she had a brain tumor. Something happened to her medically.
That is so ridiculous. First of all, I didn't have a brain tumor when she told me this. That happened many years later, 9 years this month. And it does not affect my memory one bit. My memory is perfect.
The leads that they dropped. Pam's defense was simple. Someone else did it. Who killed Gary Triano?
Neil McNeese, I believe.
Pam's attorney, Paul Eckerstrom, says the angry millionaire had the motive and the ability. He says that makes a lot more sense than the notion that Ron Young built the bomb.
Ron Young couldn't even fix a flashlight or a screw in a light bulb, as far as I can tell. We found out who did this, and we got strong evidence of who did this. And it wasn't Pam, and it wasn't Ronald Young. It was people that were involved with organized crime.
But the tapes recorded by Ron Young himself haunted the defense.
Well, I tell you, you're going to be very serious. You sit in a women's prison for murder.
The problems with these tapes. They're spliced and diced, we believe. They were never authenticated by any expert.
The defense argues that if you listen to the entire audio tape, it's obvious that Ron Young is talking about his own medical problems, and that if Pam didn't give him money for treatment, she'd be murdering him.
I'm the one who's dying. I have a need. You have my principal. Want a little bit of it so I can proceed.
Eckerstrom says the true story behind most of the tapes was extortion. Ron Young was just trying to get money out of Pam.
What he had on Pam was the fact that she had a reputation in Aspen to protect. It was a small town. She was a real estate agent. She needed her reputation.
According to the defense, Pam was afraid that Ron would spread the news that she was being investigated for the death of her ex-husband. If Pam paid him, Ron would keep his mouth.
Squeezing Pam is what you're saying. Yeah, he's squeezing Pam.
With a minor in chemistry.
Finally, Pam's defense presented what they were convinced would be a knockout blow. Something discovered among the bomb fragments.
We found DNA on the bomb.
DNA, the CSI moment. Would it work?
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1.
In the end, the bomb which killed Gary Triano came back to center stage.
I thought once we had this, we won the case.
The defense claimed they discovered dramatic new DNA evidence.
This is one of the pieces we found it embedded in the wood. We excluded Ronald Young as the bomb maker.
And if Ron Young didn't do it, then Pam is innocent.
So this is a CSI moment as far as you're concerned, right?
Yeah. And, we don't have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Pam's innocent. All we need to do is create a reasonable doubt.
After 8 weeks of trial,
You have to tell the state. Don't charge somebody with scant innuendo and insinuation.
the defense had bottom line their case. Pam didn't do the crime, someone else did. And that man was the drug-crazed millionaire who thought Triano cheated him, Neil McNeese.
The defense has a pretty simple theory. Neil McNeese is the killer. What do you say?
That they don't have any foundation or any solid factual basis to make that allegation.
They claim McNeese had underworld ties. He had a kill list, and Gary Triano was on the top of that list.
Correct. And do they have that list? No.
They also didn't have McNeese. He died back in 2002 of a drug overdose. And they didn't have the alleged bomb maker, Jerry Capuano, either. He's dead too.
It's rather convenient, yes. It's always nice to accuse somebody who can't defend themselves.
As for star witness Laura Chapman and her story, Pam once talked about hiring someone to kill Gary.
That she should just hire a hitman.
The defense says it never happened.
There's a problem with your story in that the woman that was with you and Pam that day in the bedroom says she doesn't remember Pam saying this.
That is not true. That is not true. I think she perjured herself. I think she knows exactly what was said.
If the state is required to prove that.
Of course, all of this, the jury spoke.
You find the defendant, Pamela Ann Phillips, guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder as alleged in count 1 of the indictment.
When you heard the words guilty of conspiracy, guilty of first-degree murder.
It's a complete frame. Here I said, and I am innocent. And the people that killed Gary Triano were out walking around.
Let's go on the record in CR 2000.
1 month later, back in court,
Ms. Phillips, would you give us your full name, please?
Pam is sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole.
I just want everybody to know that I am innocent. I am innocent. I am innocent. I'm not that person that
You're not that evil,
No.
greedy, money, grubbing person who would even kill for money.
I would never harm anybody.
It's gut-wrenching for me because I don't just think she's innocent. I know she is.
2 juries have heard this evidence, and 2 juries have convicted, Ron Young and Pam Phillips. Right? Aren't you the one who's wrong here? No. You know why they were convicted? Juries believe that you're probably guilty these days, because the state would never have brought the case otherwise. That's the way they think. Eckerstrom also blames the media. He says because of pretrial publicity and what he calls inaccurate media reports, he thinks the jury probably made up its mind before trial. Pam didn't have a chance going in.
We had 1,000 suspects.
As for Detective Gamber, the man who spent 18 years trying to crack this case, it all came down to the hitman with an obsessive need to keep records of everything. Do you think there would have been a conviction without those audio tapes?
No.
So Ron, the con man, did himself in.
He convicted both of them.
This is a travesty of our whole judicial system. This could happen to anybody.
You feel like you've been railroaded.
Totally. Totally. I'm innocent. I am very, very, very innocent. Close enough.
Is it weird to you, the person that you socialized with, hung out with celebrities, Donald Trump, the travel, the fun, the parties, the balls, the fancy dress, the lifestyle, is now a convicted murderer?
Yeah, it's hard to believe that somebody could stoop so low.
In the end, Pam Phillips will sit alone in a cell. Her grown children didn't even come to her trial. There will be no more ski trips with the Trumps, or golf getaways, or Vegas weekend. Believe that the system is rigged and that she is the innocent victim.
Should the jury have given more weight to the DNA evidence? Chat now with correspondent Peter Van Sant on Twitter.
When I first
Man, especially unsolved mysteries, man. I don't know why they played this video like. I don't know why they played the video twice. Like, they try to mix them up and spicing them. See, the camera angles look fucking wrong. Just like the camera angles a little fucked up. Just like the ones they did with, fucking what's it? Shit with Jefferson's man gaming channel. He must have fucked up the I don't know the camera angles and all that. Especially same with Murder She Wrote. They fucked up they probably fucking up the camera angles for Murder She Wrote too. I don't know. I'll get to you after I'm through with this video. I gotta go to this anyway. Okay, after I got off of watching off the script, yesterday's off the script review on last night's WWE Crown I think on WWE's Crown Jewel from like yesterday afternoon. Okay, new champion crowned at WWE Crown Jewel after returning star attacks. This regarding Alexa Bliss, Asuka, and I think it's involving Nikki Cross too. Well, JD's already back, back in New York, to do off the scripts and all that from he just got off from fucking Ireland, drinking with the people that he already compensated. You know what I mean? We'll go to this. We'll go to yesterday's news. WWE news. I got a little bit I can read. I'm gonna do until I don't know. It's up to zip. Okay, nearly almost 2 hours. At WWE what is it? At WWE's premium live event, the cheesy ass name that they use, the word that they use, premium live event. That's something that Vince McMahon comes up himself. That's his little edict. Crown Jewel has a major title. Oh yeah, Crown Jewel, a major at a WWE's premium live event, Crown Jewel, a major title has changed hands. I mean, let me tell you this shit. I was so quiet during the fucking during this little watch along here. You know, I'm watching the the 48 hours uh video while I'm doing it live. I ain't saying anything else. All it is, be quiet and watch the shit. And never say anything during the video. That's why I ain't do it. I ain't saying anything during the video today. I'm glad now I ain't gonna speak on in that by watching the 48 hours thing we has spliced in. They repeated that over and over though, but I had to sit through that. Let me start over. At WWE's premium live event, Crown Jewel, a major title has changed hands. In the second match of the premium live event, Asuka and Alexa Bliss, Asuka, well, or Asuka, whatever her name is, her name's supposed to be, and Alexa Bliss took on Damage Control just 5 days after winning the titles. A fun and hard-hitting match ensued with all the talent getting to show off a bit of what is it, impressive offense. After the crowd went wild for an Alexa Bliss hot tag. That's something they do in the video game. That's something they want to do in WWE video games. It seemed that the champs were poised to retain. After a shocking attack by an at first difficult to determine assailant, who was then revealed to be Nikki Cross. You know? Yeah, crazy Nikki. Yo, it's like crazy Nikki. She's not that motherfucking wannabe superhero anymore. But in the end, well, thank God Nikki Cross is not Nikki Ash. You know what I mean? But in the end, it was a surprise interference by Nikki Cross attacking Alexa Bliss. They used to be buddies. But they're not anymore. Probably real life they've been best friends, but I don't know. On screen, they were enemies. In the end, Damage Control. Yeah, Damage Control. Well, that leaves CTRL. That's the one you see here on this. That's like the one you see on this on the button on this laptop here. And in the end, Damage CTRL. Well, that means that's a abbreviation for control. Picked up the win by a pinfall to again become WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. After an earlier tease during a backstage segment suggested that perhaps Bray Wyatt or Uncle Howdy, I think it was probably Vincent from the Ring of Honor camp, or probably Barry Windham, who's previously seen on NWA television, WCW television, and well, NWA was still around. WCW dead. But Barry Windham, he was previously seen on WWE television throughout '96 when he was in a tag team match. Oh, that was at Survivor Series, late 1996. But what else did happen? I don't even know. But let me go back to this again. After an earlier tease during a backstage segment suggested that perhaps Bray Wyatt, born Lawrence Wyndham, I forgot, born Wyndham Rotunda, Wyndham Rotunda, or the Uncle Howdy character, I think it was portrayed by, I don't know, it had something to do with Barry Windham. I don't even know if it was Barry Windham or probably Vincent Morseglia from Ring of Honor. Probably Vincent Morseglia. I'll never know. Had eyes on Alexa Bliss. What does that story still have in store for the former champ? Yep. You can keep up with all the breaking news from the WWE Premium Live event Crown Jewel by clicking here. I'm not going to be clicking that there. So I got to go to Twitter. Fuck. Let me go to Twitter. Shit. Or this one. I can't even go there though. Well, I can't even go there. Shit. Well, I'm not reading about. Oh no. Not Nick Carter's little brother. Look. Not Nick Carter's little brother, Aaron. Why? Oh man. Son of a bitch. Oh, why, man? Why the fuck did something like that happen to Aaron Carter? That man has everything given to him. Fuck, now I gotta read it today. Fuck. Now I gotta read this shit today. God damn it. Fuck, man. People already been dead left and right. First is Takeoff, now this, man. Now Aaron fucking Carter. Man. Oh no, man. Fuck no. Man. Oh man. Aaron Carter, oh, he was just 34 years old. He was just 34 years old, man. Why, man? Why? Now I gotta read this news. Tragic. It's just like Takeoff. I gotta be hesitant to read this. Pop star Aaron Carter was found dead in his. Wait, let me go read this shit. Pop star Aaron Carter was found dead at his California home. Oh, that was yesterday. He was 34 years old. He was 34 years old of age. His manager confirmed his passing to KTLA, saying that no comment was immediately available, but adding that a statement would be released shortly by the singer's family. Why, God? Why do you have to go take a very young up and coming pop singer, an upcoming pop star? Why do you want to take him? God, why'd you have to take him? He's just a couple years younger than me. He's like 3 or 4 or 5 years younger than me. Why'd you have to take him, God? Why? Now I gotta read this down below. Thank you for your understanding during this difficult time, said manager Taylor Helgeson. TMZ reported that Carter was found dead in his home in Lancaster, California, reportedly after drowning in his bathtub. Though Carter was not identified, first responders received a call regarding a drowning just before 11 a.m. in the 42500 block of Valley Vista Drive, according to the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. Sheriff's officials said he was found by his house sitter, unresponsive in his tub. The house sitter was told to perform CPR. Yep, the house sitter. She was told to perform CPR to resuscitate and revive Aaron Carter. Until the paramedics arrived on the scene, at which point he was declared deceased, like dead. No additional information was made available, but the sheriff's department added that the death was under investigation by the LASD Homicide Bureau. The LASD Homicide Bureau. However, the involvement of homicide detectives does not necessarily mean the foul play is suspected. Oh, God, please no. Aaron Carter's just nothing but 34 years old. That guy is Nick Carter's brother, his younger brother. Now Nick Carter is gonna cry and hurt over his younger brother. Damn. What the fuck is Nick Carter's gonna tell his Backstreet Boys bandmates now about what happened to his little brother? What's Nick is gonna tell the Backstreet Boys members now about what happened to Nick to Aaron? Now I gotta look and I gotta read. I gotta read the last of this news before I'm gonna turn this son of a bitch off and get this. I'm gonna end the stream. Carter rose to fame. That's what he is rising to. Aaron Carter. He is rising to fame as a child star. First as a singer, and later as an actor in film and television shows like Lizzie McGuire, that Hilary Duff. I forgot Hilary Duff. I forgot. I almost mentioned, I have names mixed up. Hilary Duff. Hilary Duff. Remember her from the Lizzie McGuire TV show? And Seventh Heaven. They got Barry Watson in there, Jessica Biel. There was Beverly Mitchell. It's a few of them. That's a few of them being there. That's a few of those people that was been on that Seventh Heaven show. But that leaves behind and the younger brother of the Backstreet Boys, Nick Carter. That's what they left behind too. Now I'm glad to go. Now see, this is gonna be gruesome. Is this fucking 48 hours investigating documentary based on the Gary Triano murder. It's gonna be more gruesome. It's this now.
Insurance companies make money charging big premiums and later denying your claims. We fight back big. That's why they hate us, but our clients love us. Interact, go big. Get Mike.
On to the video. All right, we'll get this video ready. Okay, it's KTLA.
Following developing news tonight in Lancaster, where pop star Aaron Carter has died at the age of 34.
Yeah, the troubled performer grew up in the limelight, but he was in and out of rehab several times in his short life. Chris Wolf is live for us in Lancaster. He's got more on this. Chris?
Yeah, Rick, MB, the street is now cleared. People have been moving in and out of that home behind me all day. And tonight we heard from some of those closest to Aaron Carter, and they all say the same thing. They all share stories of a very kind, loving, caring, humble, yet troubled young man. It's the tragic death of a young performer, and now family, friends, and fans around the world are suffering the loss. Singer, rapper, actor Aaron Carter is dead at the age of 34. Carter's close friend and stylist shared this video of a recent birthday celebration for Carter's fiancée, Melanie Martin. She is also the mother of their 11-month-old son, Prince.
It's very painful, very, very painful. I talked to him 2 weeks ago. He was at the dentist and he FaceTimed me. He said, come over. And I said, I have work to do. I wish I could have just go see him at least one more time.
LA County firefighters say they received a call about a drowning. The LA County Sheriff's Department says a house sitter called 911 around 11 a.m. Saturday to report a man unresponsive in his bathtub. It was Carter. The dispatcher advised her to start CPR until deputies and paramedics arrived. Then emergency personnel pronounced Aaron Carter dead at the scene. He had been grappling with substance abuse for years, in and out of rehab. He once appeared on the show The Doctors, explaining he suffered from a number of mental health issues and was taking a variety of prescription pills to treat those conditions.
He was a good person. You know, he had his demons, as we all do, you know. I just wish he had another chance to defeat those demons, I'll say.
Carter began performing as a child and had hit albums starting in his teenage years. He is the younger brother of Nick Carter of the Backstreet Boys and performed as an opening act for Britney Spears, as well as his brother's boy band, and also appeared on the reality TV series House of Carters. Fiancée Melanie Martin, social media influencer and model, arrived at the home to talk with investigators and seemed inconsolable. According to reports, their son Prince is under the court-ordered custody of Melanie's mother. But Aaron Carter revealed recently that he had entered rehab for a 5th time, seeking to regain custody of Prince. All right, take a look at this. Aaron Carter's public relations firm released a statement, quote, "The family has been notified and will be flying out to Los Angeles. Aaron worked very hard towards the end of his life in recovery to be a good father and to make amends with his family." Sadly, the Carters lost another sibling, 25-year-old Leslie Carter, to a prescription drug overdose 10 years ago, back in 2012. For now, reporting live in Lancaster, I'm Chris Wolf, KTLA 5 News.
Wait a motherfucking minute. Aaron Carter's sister, Leslie Carter, died over 10 years ago. Where were Nick? Where were Aaron when Leslie died? Where were they? Their sister died from an overdose. We got Leslie Carter died from a fucking overdose in 2012. That was over 10 years ago. Now, yesterday, Aaron dies. And then yesterday, Aaron dies. His house sitter found him dead in his own bathtub at his house in Lancaster, California. Now Nick is already hurting. Now Nick is gonna cry and hurt because he lost two people that he cared deeply to him, the closest ones to him. Leslie Carter and Aaron Carter. Okay? This man lost both of his siblings. He lost one to an overdose. And then another one died, another one drowned to death in the bathtub. Nick is devastated over it already. Nicholas Carter, he is devastated over the death of his younger brother. Now, I mean, yesterday he is grieving over Aaron. Now the coroners had to take his body out of his house in Lancaster, California, and bring it to the coroner van. Seriously, I was gone. I was gone yesterday, to take care of some business. And I came back, and then the rain started happening. And I came back after I got soaked and wet in the rain. But the forecast, I hate that fucking forecast. Forecast is shit as I know of. But I'm going to end this stream because this video, that's be almost nearly that'll be enough for the payback the assholes that went after me. That's my now it's gonna be revenge for Valentino. Now it's revenge for myself. I got revenge for the both of us. So myself and Valentino, I got revenge for both of us. That's why the content creators that start telling and ratting on our channels. I hope they fucking evaporate and then know they sweat and evaporate. They want to send out a content claim and throw it at me on my Gmail account. I hope to God I'm not gonna go to Gmail and not see it there. I'm finished with this live stream. See y'all on the we're gonna see y'all. I'm gonna find y'all into. All right. I'm going straight out to what's it called on. I'm going to your I'm gonna let y'all know at this period. I got assignment for myself to do anyway. On November 24th, on November 24th, I'm gonna do a live show by reading a story on Damon Evans, the guy who played the same character that Mike Evans used to portray on the Jeffersons. Okay, we'll see y'all on the 24th, man. We'll see all you people on the 24th. Oh, don't worry. I'm not gonna play another episode of the Jeffersons on that live show for November 24th. I'm going back to Wikipedia on the 24th of this month and read the Damon Evans story. And I'm not going to play another episode of the Jeffersons on that live show. I'm gonna focus on the Wikipedia and not focus on on one of the videos or one of the episodes from the Jeffersons. I'm gonna focus on the Damon Evans story from Wikipedia on 24th, and not the episode of Jeffersons. I'm gonna do a Wikipedia story on Damon Evans on 24th. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that and not play the Jeffersons episode. Yeah, I'm gonna just focus on Wikipedia only on the 24th, and this will keep these spies from running into this channel. You go ahead to drop a comment below, man. Don't if you want to drop a comment below, just go on and drop a comment. If you don't drop a comment below, don't drop a comment below. And don't go running around to fucking YouTube and start snitching about this video that I'm doing. Fuck off.